Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley, brought to you by the Beautiful Game Network and Natural Beauty Spa. To see our podcast and other USL podcasts and articles, be sure to check out their website at bgn.fm. Now, be sure to also check out the Beautiful Game Network's sponsors, Roughneck Scarves, Icarus FC, and for all of your needs. For example, Roughneck Scarves, they're the official scarf supplier of the USL, MLS, NCAA, and US Soccer. You can also go and order your custom scarves for your organization, for your supporters groups, for your podcast as well if you want to, and be sure to give them a call, give them your custom design, or they can help you out. Find a design that best fits your needs for a price that would be affordable for you and your organization. Yeah, you could also create scarves for fundraising as well. So be sure to check out Roughneck Scarves and also Icarus FC for custom jerseys for your local soccer team, for anything like that. Even I know the Surge created some custom jerseys from Icarus FC. They came out actually it came out really good. I actually have it with me, but I just came back from McAllen yesterday, so I haven't taken everything out of the freaking luggage. If not, I would show you how the jersey looks like from Icarus FC. It's pretty comfortable to wear out in the heat. I know it hasn't really been a lot the last couple of days. The last time we were in like 80 some degree weather, I wore it, and it was pretty cool to wear. There's a lot of ventilation as well. So be sure to check out Roughneck Scarves next time you're looking for some custom jerseys for that you want to design yourself. And also be sure to check out Natural Beauty Spa with all of your skincare needs with Josefina Ochoa. For more information, be sure to let us know. And also going back to us, you can also check out the podcast and its audio version on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And for those of you that are listening through the podcast audio or through, Twitch and Facebook Live, who, by the way, welcome everybody. We do also want to tell you that we do go live also on YouTube every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on youtube.com/down in the valley. Now, it's been a long time since we actually had a real episode on Down in the Valley. Actually, I think ever since the end of the season. It's good to be back, but I kind of lost the feel to it. Hopefully, we can get it back as time goes on. But there is a lot to talk about today. By the way, I'm sorry I don't have a webcam. Some issues that should be alleviated for next week. But we do have a lot to talk about. We've got a couple of news that came out last couple of weeks. First of all, we're going to be talking about Tristan Echeverry not being renewed for the next season, Matt Jordan being renewed, and of course all of the roster updates that have been announced these last couple of days. And for that kind of talk, we've have a good friend of the podcast come on the show once again, Ray Silva of South Texas Border Sports. Ray, how you doing?
Hello, Edson, and hello, everyone joining us today. It is a privilege to actually be here and not elsewhere thanks to a late cancellation. Wink, wink.
Say again.
Ah, no comment.
No comment. No comment. There it is.
No comment. That's to you, Jerson. That's to you. No comment.
F in the chat for Jerson Echeverry, please, everybody. Everybody who's watching right now on Facebook, on Twitch, or on YouTube, please put an F in the chat at this moment in honor of Jerson Echeverry. But yeah, been an interesting couple of days, hasn't it, Ray? I'm pretty sure that you really have a lot to talk about in regards to this.
It's kind of a shame that I don't have a written blog to really like write out my frustrations on all this. Because otherwise, I think I would be banned from several places. And the key word is would be.
There it is. Why?
But
I'm trying to figure out why the. Hold on. For some reason, Facebook, the chat alerts are coming through even though the actual I don't have Facebook up on the tab or anything like that.
hmm,
I
that's
can.
where you just have a cheap $35 tablet device on the side to kind of view that.
I don't know. Hold
Uh,
on.
but but much to my own chagrin. Uh, what do we know? You know, they took this decision and they took it for a reason. And the only logical reason behind that may have been, and I'll say this again, your record says what your record is. And that should be the applied principle for everything in life. And yes, I'm going to turn and look at you, Matt Jordan. You too. And as one of your callers from Glenn Davis's show said, Matt, your history record shows for every big strikeout that you've had, you barely even connected on a solid single. In fact, it's only a soft single. Caller quoted.
I heard that yesterday, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. For
Oh
now,
no, 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 no!
no. Let's
It's
not.
just oh no, this will be a conversation later on in the show. But I'm just like serving it up, you know. I'm just serving it up as they say. I'm just teeing it up.
But let's talk about Jerson Echeverry. I mean, what were your? I mean, you were talking about right now. Is, why do you why you thought he was not renewed?
You know, I can only attribute it to this and this only. You are what your record says you are. And I think that's kind of like a little bit of the reasoning behind that. However, if you look at everything from a developmental standpoint, you can use the word consistency within the Dynamo have to have kept them on that long. Um, there may have been times where the team looked like in dire straits. Yes, were they losses? Yes. Were they lopsided losses? Absolutely not. Because remember, there you've seen USL teams get pummeled 5-6 nil or 4-1 on a regular basis, and coaching change would then happen, you know. But with Gerson, I mean, at least the team had a very high level of competitiveness in being in matches and not being able to close out a result, losing a result late here and there. Uh, that's what I figured the main problem was with Gerson is that there were spurts where you saw complete 90-minute performances, and it wasn't enough 90-minute performances to solidify him a, a longer stay.
I think for me, it's simply the fact that I think you're right. I agree with the fact that overall the results that Jerson Echeverry performed uh, within his tenure at RGVFC really wasn't that great. I mean, we still couldn't qualify for the playoffs the 3 years that he was as a head coach. 2020 was just completely abysmal. I mean, you can say, um, but then you look at the talent. we keep on harping the same, or at least I keep on harping the same topics week after week. And it's like, what was Gerson given to work with? And then what was he allowed to keep? Because let's remind ourselves that every time a player started to perform well at RGVFC, we would lose that player because the Dynamo would be giving them a first team contract, and with that, now you're gonna have to prepare in a backup plan. Now you're gonna have to wait and make sure that the replacement, whether from the bench or if they sign somebody, gets up to the groove of the first team. Try to adjust tactics to make sure that the new player works. I mean, we saw it when we lost Malik Foster in the 2019 season. We lost Michael Salazar as well in the 2019 season. You go back to 2017. We lost Eric Bird. We lost Charlie Ward. We lost Memo Rodriguez. And so the roster wasn't the same. Obviously, it was in 2017. We're talking about Junior Gonzalez. But 2018, obviously, you've got other examples as well. So that has been consistent throughout, and it hasn't allowed RGVFC's head coach, whoever it is at that time, to be able to create a consistently competitive team in the USL Championship. And it's just been consistently getting worse. In 2020, and this is coming straight from Tab Ramos himself, they tried to go with a plan where the base, the foundation, the talent foundation of this 2020 team was going to be Dynamo loanees, was going to be Nico Hansen, was going to be Michael Nelson, was going to be, or Cody Cropper, was going to be Marcelo Palomino, Juan Castilla, etc., etc., etc. But what happened? COVID happened. MLS is telling the teams that they have to play in a bubble, and there's gonna be a lot of restrictions in regards to travel, in regards to who can come in, quarantine, etc., etc., etc. And so now the Houston Dynamo is like, well, we can't send you these players, that we want, because then we won't. If we send them down to RGV, they have to stay there for the rest of the season. They won't be able to come back into the Dynamo bubble due to the MLS regulations, whether it's MLS is back or through the rest of the 2020 MLS 25 season. So it was one of those things where you leave Gerson Echeverry with players, especially up on top, your strikers, whether it was Perpa or Garrett McLaughlin, that just couldn't perform because they didn't have the talent, or they do have the talent, but they just weren't ready for the professional level. You guys make the decision on what exactly happened, but that's just the way it is. And so when I talked to Gerson Echeverry the last show that we had, when we had the interview with him, he mentioned that during COVID, that they tried to sign some players, and a lot of those broke down simply because of the numbers of COVID-19 in the Rio Grande Valley. And so it was a very difficult season that just did not allow the team to give good results. All of that was just the perfect mixture of horrible results. It was not until the last couple of games where it seemed like the team finally found their stride, but it was too little, too late. But when you have all of that going up against you, is it really the majority the problem of Jerson Echeverry? And that's what I've been trying to mention on social media. And I know a lot of people have been saying that, oh, it's almost like they're making it seem like I'm not giving any faults to Jerson Echeverry. I have. There's so many aspects. There was a couple of aspects that I didn't like about Jerson Echeverry. First of all, the timing on some of his substitutions, the fact that he, for the most part, kept on starting uh, Garrett McLaughlin, even though we all knew that Garrett McLaughlin was just bad. You know, he had multiple opportunities in front of goal, which he missed. So his performance was terrible, but yet he was still getting subbed in. And so you saw with Kyle Edwards how much better he was compared to Garrett McLaughlin. So those things kind of were against, but I feel like the external forces, I'm not counting COVID in and of itself, I'm saying more, you know, the lack of talent that the Houston Dynamo gave Jerson Echeverry, I think those weigh more than the faults of Jerson Echeverry as a head coach.
You bring up something. You bring up the substitution patterns and how they were realized. But then again, I think this was an opportunity for all the players that were within the team during COVID times. Okay, think about this for a minute, Edson.
Okay.
You don't have Dynamo loanees.
Uh,
You've got you've got what you've got. Okay,
okay.
this is more solely based on player performance. Now, Jermaine Beckford, Deshane Beckford,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Juan Carlos Obregon,
Okay.
Garrett McLaughlin,
Uh-huh.
Luca Perpa.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very little playing time prior to the season.
Okay.
Okay. You look at the midfield. You have Isidro Martinez, who you could consider him being the the leader, the captain. And then you can go a little further back in the back line. You had Caste, you had Coronado, you had Kyle Adams. Those are your three center backs, 150 over 100 appearances between all three. Okay, prior to COVID hitting, close to 100 appearances between uh, Isidro and the three defenders. So you're talking about very very little playing experience. Yet that is your foundation that you were left with. Now, between the pipes, yikes. I mean, your starting goalkeeper or potential starter with limited playing time as well. He, something happened where he has to go through shoulder surgery end of season.
Mm-hmm. End of career.
So put that into perspective for a second. You bring in a bunch of college guys who's that the game speed is so much different from college to the pro. And then you mix in a couple of guys like your James Murphys who came from Europe mid-season. Then you had Ian Hoffman that came from uh, Germany, and you add Jonathan Jimenez. Okay, you start adding pieces late on, and then of course Juan Carlos Socar, who came in did great things. And then you have Kyle Edwards, who came back very late in the season, but you kind of see the impact he had. Okay, and then you have Hyberson, who was your your journeyman veteran that brought next to almost nothing to the team. So a little bit is based on player performances as well, just not the coaching. I mean, the coaching will be the coaching, regardless, because uh, compared to other two teams across the league, like your LA twos, your Portland Timbers twos, here with the Toros, at least you're the same coaches with them every day, and you're not relying with help. So this could have been a year where it could have been uh, gloom or doom. And sadly, doomed happened because you had COVID, there was no Houston help, and this was like, okay, this is like the opportunity for those players to show, like, hey, Houston, we want that Dynamo contract. And it just it just went down and down quickly, regardless of who you had on the field. I mean, were there times where you kind of saw that small glimmer of hope? Yes, but at the same time, that small glimmer of hope never became that shining light that the team was looking for. But yet here we are. I mean, in
So
this
you agree with
business,
me? So you agree with me that the talent wasn't there to help out the
no,
coach?
the talent is there. You know,
Is it
talent
though? Is it though?
the talent is there. I mean, the
To
opportunities were also there. So the
okay, okay.
players,
So what you're
well,
telling
everyone had
so
their fair share of opportunities to
okay,
play.
okay. So what so what you're telling me is that this team has the talent that they had, the Paul Blanchettes, the McLaughlins, the Murphys. They had the talent to qualify to the playoffs.
No, but they did
Okay,
have the.
okay, okay. So what? So I don't understand then why that how that doesn't prove my point.
Okay, no, let me. I'm gonna get to that, and I'll manage that in a bit. So these guys could not complain that the opportunities weren't there or equally distributed. No, this team wasn't the team structure. Um, unfortunately, wasn't fully there because not only did you lose players at the end uh, due for whatever reason where you didn't have Castellanos for the last few games. You lost Kevin Rodriguez for the vast majority of the season. Timo Milic as well. And you know, this team did have its opportunities, but again, this is a business where results matter the most. And unfortunately, you take away the last two games, it was just poor efforting.
And this at this moment we have Jacob Young coming in. Jacob, how you doing, bro?
Doing all right. Looking forward to this one. Yeah, sorry, a little late there. But yeah, looking forward to talking about some soccer.
It's good to have you back, bro. It's good to have you back. We're talking right now about the announcement of Jerson Echeverry. By the way, I see you have the Team USA shirt. They are just, what's the score right now? 5-0 against El Salvador?
Yeah, still 5-0. I think it's halftime right now. So yeah, looks good. Finally being able to score. That's the biggest thing.
We got, are the Baby Nats playing?
Yeah, I think it's baby everybody. Basically, as in, yeah, you want to get ready for that Olympic qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta play your U23s if I'm not mistaken.
All right. So first of all, I do want to say hi to Harry Austin, who just posted in the chat. guys, whoever's listening right now on Twitch, Facebook, on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to keep continue the discussion up in the chat. I do want to see if there's any other messages before we continue. No, so far just Harry Austin. Just quick reminder: we are live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Be sure to share the stream with all of your friends. Be sure to give a like on the video as well, and yeah, subscribe if you haven't done so already. So, Jacob, all right. So we are talking right now about the announcement of Jerson Echeverry not being renewed. What was your original reaction to that, and do you feel that it was justified?
Well, my original reaction to that was, well, they don't know what they're doing because we all know who the real person that was, wrong with this team was, who ended up getting rehired, but we'll talk about that later, most likely.
Yes.
And that was like legitimately my original reaction. And then, yeah, was it justified? No. How was it not justified? Well, because yes, his record looks terrible, but then you look at the circumstances that happened almost every single year. We'd sign a player, they'd get taken away from us halfway through the season. That was one of our main problems. Besides that, you would go back to, well, then we should have had extra players ready for that chance. Yeah, they tried, but guess what? Once again, it comes back to chemistry. And when you have a certain 11 for half the season, it's not necessarily going to be they're not necessarily going to be able to work with a different 11 half the time when you're only winning games by maybe a goal or something like that. When it's a close matchup, when maybe a substitution will get you to that extra edge, basically. And that's what happened for a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken, to about 3 years for Jerson Echeverry as well. Yes, of course, they wanted results, but then again, guess what? The people who are in charge of picking a head coach for us were never down here a lot looking at this game. Did they really ever get, I mean, every single time that, yes, the general manager and Houston Dynamo team would come down here, they would talk, yes, we're seeing everything from eye to eye, but they were not. If they were, they wouldn't have fired him. They would have helped him out. And they sent the wrong players down every single time that Jerson would ask for somebody else too. So it was not justified in all to me. And yeah, he deserved at least, another year where he could actually build a freaking team, considering that there's a pandemic going on too.
Yeah, I definitely agree in a lot of the. So into your topic, please continue on because you were mentioning about the not being able to make it to the playoffs with the team that we have.
Okay, so Jacob hit on something very important here: team chemistry. One just has to wonder exactly how that was during the pandemic. Okay. And I felt like this was an opportunity for those veterans like Castellanos, Coronado, your Kyle Adams, your Isidro Martinez's, to some extent your JC Obregon and your Deshane Beckfords, kind of like, hey, this is our team. Like, we should be the ones being proactive and responsible on the field. Sadly, when you bring in college kids like your Purples, your McLaughlins, your Blanchettes, it it was kind of difficult. It, I think the job was made that much more difficult for a coach at times because you knew that you weren't going to get the help from Houston. You knew it, and it was one of those things where you know this is where the players at two had to be somewhat responsible to help out the coach as much as they could, you know. But Like I said, in soccer or in any other sport, I mean, it is a base result business, and like the goal, like Bill Parcells has said it, and I've even said it. Your record says what your record says you are, and it is not good. It wasn't good enough at the end of this season.
Hmm. I do. I mean, we're not going to deny. I'm not going to deny that the results were horrible. I mean, the results speak for themselves.
Now,
But I do feel. I do feel. Before I I just want to mention this real quick. I do feel that a lot of fans are barking up the wrong tree when it comes to uh, making or trying to not request, but more along the lines de exigir better results on this team. They,
demand.
yeah, they demand better results, but they're like, well, fire coach, fire coach, fire coach. This is all coach's fault. Blah 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 blah. We need better players. I'm like, okay,
And
well,
let's
who? I will
and
tell.
let's not mention that other show that kept doing that.
Oh, you mean Solo Football RGV?
Storyline.
I said it. Oh, I said it. Solo Football RGV?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm coming for you. Eventually. Gotta get some. Anyways. But the thing is that.
Hashtag los talacheros son mejores jugadores que los toros. That's what that was one of their hashtags that made me LOL.
Cállate el hocico. In share Solo Football RGV. I like to see that happen. Anyways. But
Hey man, don't shoot the messenger here,
I'm
bro.
I'm not shooting the messenger. I'm giving a message saying like I like to see that happen para ver si no están para que sigan de habladores. Anyways, what I
Los
wanted
chicharroneros.
what I wanted to get at was people still do not know that the Dynamo control the technical aspects of this team. My dad works right now delivering medicines. He went to Sullivan City, right? Yeah,
God
Sullivan
bless
City.
him. God bless him.
He went to Sullivan City. He saw a guy with a Toros shirt on. It was I think he was saying he was like a teenager. Anyway, so the while the customer was coming out, because she took a while to answer the door. Um, he was talking with the kid, about the toros and stuff like that. And, my dad mentioned to him about Matt Jordan being resigned and all of that. And he's like, I didn't know all of that. I mean, of course, a lot of people don't know about it because nobody talks about it outside of us. So, what happens when bad results? They
They look
view
for the easy way
RGV.
out.
They view RGV. See, I don't even want to go like that. It's more like they view it like they think that RGV is like any other regular old club where they control the technical aspect, they control the coach, they control the players, and of course they're gonna blame Ron Patel. Of course they're gonna want Jerson Echeverry fired, but they don't see what really happens, behind the curtain, as they say, and so that's where the issue is. I still am dying on the hill that Jerson Echeverry was a scapegoat of Matt Jordan's inefficiency at doing his job. I'm just being honest. So, but at the end, now we have no coach. It's been more than 30 days since he was fired. We still have not had coach on. Now, before we move on to the next topic, which is about the next head coach, if anything has come up, what we think would happen, when we think that the announcement will be made, why I think they're spending way too much time trying to find a coach, and I do want to play. So a little bit of context. What was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Ray, when Tab Ramos was on Soccer Matters and you called? I think it was 3, right?
Oh, yeah, somewhere around there. But point is, guys,
November
you want your
10th.
voices. You want your voices heard. have the courage to dial in. Have the courage to dial in.
That includes our show. That includes any other show. That includes Solo Football RGV. Yes, I mean, but
No,
if
I wasn't targeting anyone here this time. I wasn't targeting
Yeah.
anyone.
I'm just
It,
no. I'm just
it's
saying
anybody though.
no. I'm just saying that
I'm just
whatever show is available, whether it's Soccer Matters, us at Down in the Valley, or Solo Football RGV, if you want to get a point across and they give you the option to give your thoughts, whether it's in text chat or through the phone line or through video call, take that opportunity, especially when it comes to Soccer Matters. I feel like we need to prove a point to the Dynamo. We need to prove a point to Glenn Davis that this fan base really cares about the team, and it'll allow you, to learn more. But anyway, Ray, thank you for calling into the show. And the reason I mention this is I do want to play your question and Tab Ramos's answer regarding to the head coach vacancy at RGVFC. Let's take a listen.
All right. Ray, are you there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I
you're
am
up,
here,
Ray.
Glenn.
Go
Thank
for
you,
it.
Glenn, and thank you, Coach, for taking the calls. I just wanted to ask, in summary, what are the characteristics that you prefer to be for the new RGV coach, and what did you learn within the first year relationship with the RGV Toros? Thanks for taking the call.
Yeah, so I'm not. First of all, we're not sure about the timing of when anything is going to happen with RGV at the moment because we still don't know when MLS is going to start. There's a possibility that MLS can start as late as May of next year, which will likely push the USL League even later than that. So we don't know when that decision for RGV will be made on that position in particular. Having said that, I think the relationship this year, we had a great plan for it. I think it was going to be good. I think we would have had players like Marcelo go down and play 10, 12 games. We wanted to get a lot of help to RGV because we wanted to make sure that RGV won this year. But unfortunately, because of we were locked in MLS this year, and any player that left our squad couldn't come back. And so we were forced to keep our players we weren't able to help RGV as much as we could. But we thought that relationship was going to be great. But because of COVID, it didn't really work this year.
Okay, that's
Okay, so 2 things. He mentions the fact that the USL schedule might be affected by when MLS is going to restart. They're saying there's rumors that say May. There's rumors that say even March, if I'm not mistaken. There's still a lot of questions in regard to that. And he says that that's going to affect the USL because if MLS starts to say in May, then USL might actually start even later than that. And he also talks about what I mentioned before about Tab Ramos not being able to send Dynamo loanees down because of the way the bubble was working. Ray, can you give us a little bit more context about all of that, what you thought about his response, and then I'll go with you, Jacob.
I felt his response was it was an ideal response from him, considering all the factors that it's going through right now, and even the economic impact that it has had, and there's not much that either Dynamo or Toros can do at this point except for sit back and wait. But I will say this much though: the sooner you get somebody in, at least officially, I think the better it can be for both sides, so that they can start working on a plan.
What do you think, Jacob?
I mean, I think I kind of agree with Ray here because that is true. The sooner you get things going, the better it could definitely benefit your squad in general, whether or not be RGVFC or Houston Dynamo. And but with all that being said, just like Tab said, which this is true, it's so many. There's just so many variables right now. That is still the problem. When is it going to start? Like, for example, I mean, the MLS season hasn't even finished just yet. And of course, we all know this whole thing of if it starts in May, if the MLS were to resume in May, then you're thinking halfway through May, most likely the USL is going to start too, because that's normally how it goes. Is when you have March, normally in a regular year, you would have the MLS start in March. Sometimes the USL starts a little earlier, but most of the time it's about end of March to April for the USL. So yeah, it is one of those things where it does make sense of why they are waiting, and at that same time, who's really going to have a vacant spot for a head coaching job, as well as if they want to go back to the college coach route, then even the NCAA season has not finished, and it doesn't plan on finishing until 2021 due to this ongoing pandemic as well. So there's just a lot of options just like that of why they could still necessarily wait, and why it's a little bit better if they try and hurry this process.
The thing I'm a little bit disappointed about the response was about Tab's, not yours. About Tab's response is where he mentions we don't have an idea on when we're going to be making the decision for the RGVFC head coach. Look, you have a lot more time in your hands to be able to prepare. Like Ray said, you have a lot more time to prepare. You have more time to plan. You have a lot more time to get an idea instilled on what kind of players you want to get for this upcoming season. Why are you going to wait until the last minute to get a coach? What are you gonna get? Hold on. Are you gonna get players that are you gonna sign players that may not fit the system? We that they want that the coach wants to instill. That's gonna be similar to Tab Ramos's coach. Is that what's gonna happen? Is Tab Ramos gonna prepare this team and they're like then he's just going to appoint a new coach? How are they going to prepare this? Look, I honestly feel that I agree with Ray in that you need to have a coach already planned in order to officialize it, and then him work together with Tab Ramos and get all of these nuances that came up between the 19 and the 20 season, get those ironed out and make sure that RGV comes in as ironed out as possible with the talent that they can get once it's around, and not trying to fix or fill in holes when the season is already underway. Take it away, Ray.
All right. Here's also another wild card factor to consider. The MLS Reserves Tournament. How is that even going to work? And right now, where do we stand on the Dynamo's priority list? Are we third on that list? Are we second? Is the reserves thing a second? Are we third? I mean, that's probably like the biggest wild card factor at this point for me. And I think a lot of that factor is going to dictate how this reserves thing for the MLS could happen. I mean, not that there's any word out there, but if the report is true that the MLS lost a lot of money this year, then if I'm the MLS, I'd consider shelving that reserves tournament at least for another year or two to recover.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think that MLS reserves thing is the biggest wild card right now. And where do the Dynamo have the Toros in their priority list?
Now,
Okay.
the way I see it, I feel like the Dynamo are not prioritizing or not going to an MLS next team until the RGVFC contract is over. At least that's my hunch.
And I mean, that's also a perfectly legal hunch, but then again, we don't know any exact dates as to when this divorce may happen. I mean, that
If this
those
divorce
are your
happens.
biggest those are the biggest wild card factors at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, if this divorce happens, because they love Baldy over there, so I mean that's a big thing. But yeah, kind of adding on to your point, Ray, it's so true that like where do RGVFC stand? Because remember, it's not only just the Dynamo, it's not only just that next squad. You also have to factor in the good old Dash that are shockingly once again have struck gold with the way that they're making their team happen. So it, it is one of those situations where it sucks. You have to wait it out. And for now, do we have to suffer through one more year? Probably. And it's going to freaking suck. And it's going to be all this stuff. But what more can you do when you're just, of course, talking about it? And when you are a front office that can't even get your MLS team to do good. You can't even figure out what to do with them. I mean,
Thank you.
it's
Thank
so
you.
true. Yeah, let's go Portland Timbers this year, apparently, is what I'm going to say. Because, yeah, if front office doesn't care about not only the players, do they really care about the fans either? I know this is a totally different topic, but it's so true. It's like if they don't care about the team, they probably don't care about their fans. And if they don't care about their fans, that's why you're seeing a lot of tweets on that side of Twitter saying, "Oh, we have decided not to renew our season tickets. We have decided not to go to the stadium this year." Blah blah blah, all that crap.
Or
I understand it
jump ship to Austin FC.
exactly. Austin FC will never jump ship to them. I would jump ship to Portland because I've been there and because
And because he hates Seattle.
exactly.
But look, the thing about it is this is going to continue for one more year.
Yeah.
I like I said, the way the track record has been for the Houston Dynamo, this is not their highest priority, and it is sad. It is sad that that we are not even the top two. We're not, like, for example, what I'm trying to say is like it's like they're like, out of all the things that needs to be happening, I would assume that your affiliate needs to have a coach. Otherwise, like, who's going to coach your development?
Mm-hmm.
And if you already knew, the way I see it, if you already knew that you were not going to renew the contract of Jerson Echeverry, you should have been looking for his replacement. We are, like I said, we are 1 month away since he was fired. Other teams have already found replacement coaches. Why it's taken so long? And the fact that Tab Ramos says, well, we don't know. We don't know when we're going to make a decision on that. And that actually kind of worries me a lot, that this is going to be the same old from the Houston Dynamo. But moving on, we haven't found a coach, but hey, Matt Jordan is back. That Matt Jordan that takes our players when they're good, gives us, players from the MLS draft that really haven't panned out. That Matt Jordan that
Acts super nice to us though in a concession stand line.
I mean, yeah.
He
We
did
need
that
to
once. That's
look.
what I remember.
Yeah. So Jacob and I were. What game was it? Was it?
Was the Houston? Yeah, it was Houston versus RGVFC last year. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before the pandemic, like right before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember. So we were lined up because I was gonna buy some food, and Jacob and I were talking on the line, and then Matt Jordan comes in and greets us, like handshake and everything. Like he went out of his way to come and greet us on the line. And so I was like, okay, Matt Jordan, you're still not gonna convince me, bro. But anyways, what was going on is that Matt Jordan really has proven to not be doing a good job with the Dynamo, much less RGVFC. And yesterday, ooh boy, on Soccer Matters, there was a complete roast by the Dynamo fans on Matt Jordan. And Ray called again on live on the show and asked him another RGVFC specific question. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
Thank you.
All right, let's keep it going. Colin, you're up. What's on your mind, Colin? Let's go to Ray. Ray, you're up.
Hello, good evening, Glenn and Matt Jordan. This is a two-part question for you, Matt. One of the phrases that you've always mentioned, core values. What does it specifically mean to the Houston Dynamo community and its fans? And secondly, the relationship with RGV. I know it's been extended for at least one more year. What are you guys looking to get out of it? Because a lot of the fan base down there isn't particularly happy with the results, and now they don't have a coach. What can you say specifically on that, if you could?
First of all, before we go into the answer, I do want to give kudos to Ray for harping him about core values. Like I'm gonna tell you this right now, Ray. A lot of people in the Dynamo Fans for Change group, they loved that you called them out on core values. But let's continue.
Thank you for your question, Ray. I appreciate it. So I'll answer the first part of your question. When I say and mention core values, and for us, the most important core value of our club is that everything is about the team. It's a team-first club, and we have always been a team-first club. No one individual, no one player, no one coach is bigger than the club. So that, for me, is the number one thing that I would say when talking with anything related to the Houston Dynamo FC now and our club. Is everything we do is about the team and about the club, and no one individual is bigger than that. The second part of your question with regards to RGV, we are in a partnership with RGV through next season. It's a balance. It's a balance there, Ray, because, we obviously we want to reach our developmental goals, getting, guys meaningful minutes. But also the results are an important aspect of that. And so we're continuing to work with our partners on that in the Valley. But I will say, prime example, Mauro Manotas, when he first came to our club, and, he was adapting to life here and to living in the United States. I mean, the meaningful minutes that he played down at RGV were critical to setting him up to be prepared when he received his chance. Memo Rodriguez as well. Memo Rodriguez is a real success story for us, who came up through our system and obviously did great at RGV. So it's an important part of our club and our structure. That space is evolving. There's a lot of talk, as you've probably seen, about how the 19s and the 23s and the USL space will all evolve. I think, again, a real challenge that we've had to navigate through in that space this last year in particular, Ray, was just the medical protocols due to the pandemic with player movement. And that really, really affected the results down there, because we weren't able to move players from the bubble in Houston down to the bubble in the Valley. And so I hope that answers your question. And Ray, I appreciate you reaching out.
Ray,
Yes.
take it away. You know what to say.
Hashtag core values.
I honestly, I am glad that the person who organized a drinking game off of this interview did not include core values. They would have died of alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, they would have gotten smashed. Toasted. Smashed, toasted. I mean, what else is there to say?
But what was your reaction to his response?
Oh man, you know, if there's ever another occasion where I get to say hello to him, I'll be nice. I promise to be nice. There's times where I can come off as a mean, you know what, but I have to be nice. I have to. I mean, that's what I have to do. I mean, I just have to be nice. And have to wear a smile on me.
But what did you think? What did you think about his response yesterday?
You know, he just circled around that bandwagon again. I mean, what's there to react to a non-response at times? I mean, this is what we have. You know,
This is kind of what I expected too, right? I mean, you said it exactly right. It's one of those things where, I mean, we've heard it for not only from Houston Dynamo. I'm gonna get just a tiny bit political here. How long have we heard it from, of course, all the politicians? For a good while, from them just avoiding questions constantly.
It's fun. It's funny because one of the comments at in DFFC group was like, he'd make a great career politician.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's going to be my next, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say this on air.
Mm-hmm.
Next time Matt Jordan is with Glenn Davis, I'm just going to pop him with that question. I'm just going to hang up like I did because I did not even want to listen to the response originally. Yeah. My thing was get in the air, ask the question, hang up, and let others fire away because I know there was going to be better questions in mine, but I figured let me lob it up. Let me be the guy that throws the alley, and I'll have everyone else just do the oops.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say this one thing though. Of course, to that is one thing. Of course, so I watch a lot of Twitch streamers, and guess who ends up streaming on Twitch now? Yes, the one and only. I'm just gonna go by what they call the person AOC. And funny story, servers were down on Among Us one time, so they just asked questions, and one of them was about, because that person has been in the room with Mark Zuckerberg at that trial and all those, and they said the one thing to do, which this is good for all of us in general, especially if we want to be reporters, is if they go around that question, ask it again, and ask it again until they actually give you a real answer. Just pressure them with that.
The problem with radio is that time is so limited. You cannot do that. And it sucks. It sucks because that's the only time where Matt Jordan actually comes out. Ray, you're like the primary source of what I'm talking about.
And I got to listen to quite the follow-ups that Glenn Davis had after that. I was more impressed with Glenn Davis's follow-up questions before taking other callers. Like, hey, why don't you bring an operation like this up at Houston Sports Park and da 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 da.
And not only that, he asked him what.
That was such a great follow-up.
Here's the other follow-up question that I liked, and this pertains to us. He asked Matt Jordan, like, okay, so what do you consider success for RGV? And he tried to dance around the question. He's like, no, what do you consider success? And he's like, well, the fact that we have had young players get minutes with RGV. That he said, Sam Junkwa and James and Ian Hoffman. Is that these young guys were able to get professional minutes. To me, that is success. That is where that Matt Jordan does not care about winning, no matter how much he says he does. Because he did say, well, it's a balance, right? We have to develop players, but we also care about winning. Well, apparently these last 3 years say otherwise, Matt Jordan. But anyway, he says that success is developing these players, making them get minutes. So in their eyes, they don't really care if RGVFC get last place in the Western Conference. All they care about, did these guys get minutes? Did these guys move up to the Dynamo first team? Okay, that's a success. Guess what? Wilmer Cabrera said that back in 2017 to me, and he got mad at me for saying that going to 2018. He got mad at me when I asked him why about that 2017 was a failure. He's like, what failure? We signed 5 guys. That's a success to me. I'm like, are you kidding me? And that has been continuous throughout all these years. The Dynamo do not care. Honestly, they do not care about winning for RGVFC. All they care about is, can these young guys get minutes? Okay, that's all we care about. And the way they handle this continues to prove me otherwise. It continues to prove my point.
Yeah. What I really loved about hearing the rest of the show, I don't remember the gentleman's name. It could be Ryan, who followed up with a perfect question. Like, of the 7 years that you've been here, you've only had like one soft single. Like,
was he the one? Was he the one? No, was he the one that asked why or like why he held coaches to a higher standard than himself?
Yeah, yeah, because he followed it up with like, you've only had like one soft single in 7 tries.
And then there was the other one. Is like, if the Dynamo get bad results in the beginning of next season, we are going to are you going to step down? I was like, oh boy. And there was this one other with that guy, and then Matt Jordan is like, well, I respectfully disagree. I do help myself to. I'm like, cállate el hocico, güey, you don't.
Párale, yeah.
Dude, no, like it was just one like, oh
like
my
hashtag
God.
no memes.
So it's funny going back to your question, Ray, and I told you this. So yesterday, like I said, I was heading back up to Houston. I was driving. While the interview was happening, while the questions were happening, I was going through Falfurrias, which isn't really well known for good signal service, right?
Yeah.
So I just kept on, like, the stream was playing, but it was like it kept on cutting off, right? So I could only hear parts of what was being said. It just so happened that it went out right as you were asking the question, so I had no idea what you asked him. So then it came back when Matt Jordan was talking, and I mentioned to you, I said, because you told me what you asked him, and I was like, look, bro, from what I heard, from the little pieces that I heard, and from what you're telling me, it's almost like I thought he was asking completely different questions. That's how far off, like that's how much of a runaround Matt Jordan gives in his answers. And the fact that he's been renewed one more year, it just makes no sense. But
look, I'm gonna ask this: does President Walker know what he's dealing with? Does President Walker know what he's dealing with? And I openly say that because I had that itch to call back after Tab. It was President Walker when they did the whole rebranding thing. I just wanted to come in and land that haymaker from left field. And if it wasn't for an engagement that got in the way for me, I would have stepped in a third time. But I can assure you, next time Jordan is available for Glenn Davis, President Walker, I'm just going to strap on the gloves, folks. I am going to try to be the voice for RGVFC in Houston. Edson, not to take anything away from you. You do such a wonderful job, and you have your hands full with a lot of stuff personally on the outside. But I will gladly wear the RGB gloves, and if I go down swinging, it ain't because I tried, folks.
Or because you didn't try. I think that's what you meant. Like, it isn't because he didn't try.
Well, trying is trying, okay? How it is defined.
If you didn't try, though, then you wouldn't go down.
Anyways, we're going down a completely different rabbit hole. We need to talk about the rest of the topics. So, Matt Jordan. In summary, Matt Jordan was renewed for one more year. He's going to continue to be in charge of player signings. He's going to continue to be in charge of the upcoming MLS draft and the scouting. Things are not Things are not going to be looking good when it comes to RGV for this upcoming year. What's supposed to be the last year of the relationship between RGVFC and the Houston Dynamo. Now, I don't know what's going to happen later on. I don't know. I honestly don't know what the net worth of Alonso Cantu is, if he's going to be able to deal with the finances, the additional finances of player salaries, coaches' salaries, scouts, et cetera. I don't know if he's going to be able to. I don't know if he's going to be even open to the idea of handling of wanting additional investors for the Toros. I don't know all of that. Okay, so that is all the big question.
One of the things, if the team is is in dire need of money, sell away your third overall draft pick. Try to get some veteran players out of that. If it's even a lot in the MLS, shop it around.
The problem is that right now MLS draft picks are worth absolutely nothing now, and no other MLS team values them highly anymore. Right now, that's the problem. People are like, other teams are starting to look more into the Argentinian talent, or are starting to look more into their own academies rather than the MLS draft. So really, they can't do anything with those draft picks. They're literally worth almost nothing. So that is futile. So moving on to our final topic of today. The last couple of days, we had some announcements come up by RGVFC. The first one was Kyle Edwards returning for the 2021 season. Today, there was an announcement that Juan Carlos Azócar, who was loaned last year and only played 2 games, also returns for the 2021 season. So that's all fine and dandy. Kyle Edwards arguably was the best striker for RGVFC, but then again, the bar was very low when you compare him to Garrett McLaughlin. I'm being honest. Nobody can tell me I'm wrong with regards to that. But Kyle Edwards is going to return. Kyle Edwards played for UTRGV before playing professionally for RGVFC as well. He is an international player. He is playing for St. Vincent and the Grenadines national team. So he has some caps under the national team as well. So he has a little bit of experience at such a young age, right?
Yeah.
The meat and potatoes, though, And this
I like
is
that.
and the meat and potatoes was what was inside of the article following that announcement. The roster options for RGVFC. So if you guys didn't know about that, let me go ahead and grab that information from you. You know, probably it's gonna be on my junk folder because for some reason, here it is. Anyways, all right. So these were the options that the roster moves that RGVFC announced. Okay. So declined contract options. Paul Blanchett.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jacob, verdict. Let's do that. So I'll go one by one and we'll all give our verdicts on it.
All right.
Paul Blanchett.
Thank you.
Okay, so I mean, I say he did a great job. 9 out of 10. He was spectacular all season. Amazing guy. This is a waste of a talent now. They should never have gotten rid of him. Oh, imagine that. No, really. No, I won't do that with anybody else. But yeah, he was okay. He was okay. He was one of those guys where we needed a filler for that spot, and we happened to have him. Paul Blanchett. Yeah, just needs to learn more. In that goal, it sometimes he'd be amazing, and sometimes he would have lapse of judgment or like that. But these would be separate games because then he'd be really good one game, then he'd have a lapse of judgment another game, and something like that would happen.
And the problem with
yeah,
and the problem with Paul Blanchett was when he had those mishaps, they cost the RGVFC Toros a lot of points, and that is why he really was not forgiven by the fans and myself. Next player, Robert Castellanos, was also declined contract option. How they came up with this decision, I don't know. This was arguably the best RGVFC player all season long in 2020. He was the speck of glitter in the heap of trash that was the 2020 season for RGVFC. Now, you can go on and say, okay, well, I mean, this was his third year with the organization, with Matt Jordan's 2 to 3 year plan. Another thing that I disagree about Matt Jordan, but I thought we were leaving him alone for the show. Anyways, but the thing is, Robert Castellanos had his option denied, which is surprising because if he re-signed last season and he had an option available and he was the best player, why didn't you take advantage of that option? Now this could probably mean that maybe Robert Castellanos probably didn't want to come back, for some reason. Maybe it was a personal decision. Maybe it was time, it was time to look somewhere abroad in a more serious organization than the Houston Dynamo, right? We don't know. We don't know what's happening. Or maybe he's going to be signed for a Dynamo first team contract. There's a lot of variables out there that we have no idea. And obviously the Houston Dynamo are not going to mention until it is time for it to happen. But what we do know right now, Robert Castellanos, our MVP, is probably not coming back. His contract option was denied for 2021. Next one, Carter Manley.
Oh, man. Carter Manley.
Let's try to keep it short.
Lukewarm at best.
Yeah.
Lukewarm.
Jacob.
Yeah, exactly. I hate to play the compare game, but it is so true. I mean, you kind of compare it's like, because real quick on Castellanos, he was like a hero that we needed, kind of, and he didn't ever wear the captain armband or whatever, but he was that player. So yeah, that compared to his drive and things like that, Manley was for sure. He was an average player that you wanted to see more from him every single game. He just did not get there, and that's frustrating to see. And that's what most of this team kind of happened, is like you wanted more from them. You wanted them to improve so much.
And he was supposed to be the quote unquote veteran presence in this team. And there were many times, and I pointed it out in previous other shows, where he didn't hustle back when he needed to. When he went up to attack, he didn't hustle back. And let's be honest, Ian Hoffman played better than him in that position as a right back. So I do agree with the decision about Carter Melina coming back. Emil Goal, really didn't see a lot of him this season.
No.
Do you think it was a good idea to decline his contract? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Jonathan Jimenez.
Lukewarm.
Jacob?
I mean, I'm thinking of what to say, but yeah, he was medium. He wasn't that impressive. He just was one of those players.
He hustled.
He did. But once again, it goes back to not only how he worked as a teammate, which he was good as a teammate. It was just one of those situations where like most of this team needed to go no matter what. Yes, of course, we got rid of one player that shouldn't have necessarily gone. I, for one, hope it was Castellanos' decision more than anything, but that we're not talking about him. We're talking about, of course, the other player. It's just, he hustled, but it's one of those situations where he needed to do better in a little bit more times. And yes, of course, that went for most of this team too.
All right, Christian Lucatero, bye.
Arrivederci.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I mean, sure. Yeah, Lucatero. Adios.
Yeah. I mean, what was it? Like his his second opportunity, he didn't take advantage of it. Bye now. I mean, Timo Melic is another one.
Again. This was a lose-lose situation for the Dynamo, because they're in charge of making all the decisions here.
Mm-hmm.
Had the team kept him, they would have had to have paid Seattle. If they lost him, they were. I mean, it was still a lose-lose anyhow. Had we kept him,
international slot, remember?
Yep.
Now I really expected a lot from Timo, but injury kind of kept him away. And when he was in, he really didn't have the confidence to get those long distance shots like he did in college. I feel like maybe he would have been a guy that I wanted to see one more year out of him, have, complete off season, a complete regular year, hopefully. Sadly, it's not the case. I mean, I don't think he's that bad. I think he would have brought something different. So like for when other teams kind of park the bus, or like defensively, they're very compact. Long distance shots really are a way to try to open up that defense. And he could have been a very valuable tool, asset with that, but he's not. His contract option was declined. Another player, Tyberson Nunes, really a player that has spent most of his time injured. The time that he was on the field, the time that he was on the field, just pretty much arguing with the ref. Jacob, your thoughts?
Like you said, he just was too much with the refs and not as. He didn't have that same drive. He complained too much, and that's always going to be a problem for a soccer player in general. You have one of those soccer players, I suggest you get rid of them pretty quickly, because they're just they think that everything revolves kind of around them. If they get tripped up, or if they trip themselves and they think somebody else did, it's not good.
And I think more for me, it's more along the lines of like, he's supposed to be the veteran presence. He's supposed to lead the example, and he's the one getting stupid yellow cards because he's arguing with the ref. That's really not a good example to give to the young players. And now you realize why he's been from team to team and most throughout most of his career, and why he was down to what was it, the fourth division in the Brazilian league. I mean, it could be because of that. I mean, he had talent, but if you don't use that talent wisely, or you know, or if you are a problem like with your because of your demeanor, then it's not somebody you might want to have on your team. The other one is James. This one actually surprised me. James Murphy.
Yeah, that one really caught me off guard. Really, that one really caught me off guard as well. I would have at least make an effort to re-sign the guy. To be honest.
Mm, same. Jacob.
Yeah, an effort would have been nice for them to try to make because yeah, Murphy was good. He had that hustle. He had all that. Really worked well. What more is there to say besides? I think that's just Matt Jordan's dumb old rule.
And then Luca Perpa and Garrett McLaughlin. Luca Perpa, I kind of he really didn't perform well, but I think with a better uh, organization of the system, I think he maybe could have shown better things. But Garrett McLaughlin, boy, I don't think he's ready for at least USL Championship. He had a lot, like I said, he had a lot of opportunities to score, and he just made incorrect decisions when he was right in front of goal. I mean, he ended up with 0 goals and 0 assists this season, and that is just horrible numbers for a forward. So I do agree with Luca Perpa and Garrett McLaughlin not being or getting their contract options declined. In summary, I agree with almost all of these, except for Caste and maybe James Murphy.
Yeah.
They do also mention Deshane Beckford's loan was expired following the 2020 season. Remember, the 2-year seasons he was loaned, it was under a loan. At this point, his team was probably like, well, if you want him, you're gonna have to buy him now, kind of thing. So this is one of the,
along with an option to buy.
yeah. So at this point, maybe Deshane Beckford will probably not be coming back, and it's more than likely not going to be coming back for the 2021 season. Trying to think about another option in that position. I mean, the guy was really fast. The guy was good. He just needs to work on his finishing a little bit more. And Coach Echeverry said it himself. He's fast, he's good, but you got to work on that finishing. Also, 9 players are out of contract at the end of the 2020 season. Goalkeeper Ryan Colcher, goalkeeper Ben Willis, who announced his retirement from professional soccer, defender Robert Coronado, defender Diego Rocha, defender Andrew Samuels, who was out the whole season due to an ACL injury, midfielder Victor Garza, midfielder Isidro Martinez, midfielder Kevin Rodriguez, and forward Juan Carlos Obregon Jr.
Mm-hmm.
They do also mention that the 2 players under contract are Kyle Edwards and Juan Carlos Azocar, and they are in ongoing discussions with some players to return for the 2021 season.
Easily.
So,
Okay,
go ahead.
Here's a question I pose to both of you.
Okay.
From those players who are out of contract,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
who would you effort to try to bring back?
Definitely Cello.
Easy.
Okay, home player, yes.
Definitely Diego Rocha.
Yep.
Academy player, yes.
Definitely Juan Carlos Obregon.
Yeah, I would agree there.
And I'm pretty sure this is gonna surprise you all, but I would definitely go with trying to get, if Andrew Samuels is better, try to get him back.
I'm gonna surprise you guys, you as well too. I would like to see Victor Garza back
Okay.
as an assistant coach
Ooh,
or player coach.
I like the sound of that.
That would be good.
I mean,
Need more like
granted,
that.
granted, Ryan Coulter, fine job and all, but I mean, if they've already if they got rid of Gerson, I mean, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure that there's gonna be a new coaching staff, and why not have Victor Garza be a player coach type of thing?
yeah.
I now with this with this said, do you believe that maybe Ryan Coulter will transition to full time goalkeeping coach instead of player coach?
That could be a possibility as well. I mean that is pretty open as well.
I could see that happen for a team, just like I think Ray said. I don't see most of this, not necessarily team, but I don't see most of the coaching staff coming back for another year, especially under new management, new head coach. It just doesn't make any sense. A head coach brings their own management that they like, so
Hey,
it wouldn't make any sense,
hey, how's it
even
going,
if he would
Mike?
play.
Now we are still on right now, and you're more than welcome to discuss with us. We're talking about the roster options uh, in regards to RGVFC that were announced today. So just a quick recap. Declined options were on 11 players: Paul Blanchet, Robert Castellanos, Carter Manley, Emilio Gol, Jonathan Jimenez, Christian Lucatero, Timo Melic, Tyberson Nunes, James Murphy, Luca Perpa, and Garrett McLaughlin. The loan for Deshane Beckford expired, so he's probably not coming back. 9 players are out of contract: Ryan Coulter, Ben Willis, Robert Coronado, Diego Rocha, Andrew Samuels, Victor Garza, Isidro Martinez, Kevin Rodriguez, and Juan Carlos Obregon. Now, Ray, you only mentioned bringing back Victor Garza. Out of this list, who else would you try to bring back?
Definitely Cello,
Mm-hmm.
de- definitely Coronado, definitely Rocha as well.
Okay.
I would try to effort to bring back those three players.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's mostly, well, besides cello, you mentioned two defenders,
Mm,
which is
only
similar to
because
what I said too. So
um and I mean I have only because I mean I've always felt like it, in order to have like some local presence, you gotta make an effort to bring back the local players,
mm-hmm.
and you gotta have that in a professional roster.
All right, Jacob, who would you bring back out of this list?
Yeah, I agreed with your list, Edson. I think I'd bring back most of them, and including Coronado as well. I think, yeah, it makes sense. I know that our defense was like our weakest point, but at some points as well, it was our strongest too. So it's one of those things where we just struggled with attacking, get rid of like 90% of our attack, and kind of build from our defense up. And I think that would work perfectly. Yes, of course, as the one time, wise words of Wilmer Cabrera once said, you can't have both. You can't have a great offense and a great defense. In soccer, you can either choose one, and most likely that will be okay. So yeah, I think really us just building from the defense up will be fine. Yes, of course, I'd like to see more goals scored, but that's
But
just
it also brings more stability in the long term.
exactly.
It's
Edson,
go ahead.
one of the things that one of your callers asked me the show prior to having Coach Echeverry, that we were kind of like in a precarious position with our coaching, coming from like the college ranks and making the jump up to the pros. And I kind of mentioned Bill O'Brien as an example, being a college coach, head coach first prior to becoming a pro coach
Mm-hmm.
or even an assistant. I think, uh, and don't get me wrong, I think they're going to try this same approach again. And And the reason I say it is because of the cost.
Yeah.
The cost will be the key of trying to bring in a college coach rather than some established name like your Ian Russells, your Alan Couch,
Hmm.
your uh, your oh my god,
Yeah, those who have a lot of USL experience and have put
exactly.
in teams in playoff spots.
Yes. Uh, Kurt Anolfo was another example I wanted to use there
Mm.
too, of having a lot of experience developing players and stuff like that. And I use Kurt Anolfo very loosely because of the work that he did with Los Dos.
Now, you mentioned to me a couple of maybe player or coaches you think might be a good fit for the system. If I recall correctly, a couple of days or a couple of weeks ago. Do you, by any chance, remember what you told me?
Oh my, to go back and think of those college or even names. Oh man, no, I don't recall, but I do remember dropping names, but specifically as to what names, no. And just basing it off a hunch, I I think Tab Ramos might have a heavy influence on this one too.
So somebody brought this up to me a couple of weeks ago that I thought was very interesting. Do you believe that maybe either Pablo Mastroeni or Amit Damazzi will take over duties as RGVFC head coach? Because it's very rare to have two assistant coaches at a club.
I would, you see, this is where you pick a name over unknown. Mastroeni. Okay, let's
Yeah.
start with him. Mastroeni is another U.S. soccer legend, and he's at that track where he has been working with Tab for many years now, and he obviously knows the system that Tab and the Dynamo play. On the other hand, you bring in the other assistant. Now, he's been also with Tab for quite a number of years,
Yeah.
and at this point, where does a club want to lean on? Lean on the name or lean on the
Now you do have to remember though that Namazi has more experience at the
hmm
international level. He was the head coach for Iran for a
hmm
while. He was also under the U.S. youth national team as well, alongside Tab Ramos.
correct?
Pablo Mastroeni, I believe the only experience he has is with Colorado Rapids.
Exactly. And for me, if you're going to talk about development, I think Master Any might fit the bill because if he's looking to get more experience to try to get at least some more management experience, you lean Master Any.
Okay,
You want experience, you go with the other guy.
Jacob,
You
what are
go
your
with
thoughts on this?
Well, given the thing that I think we can point it back to the start of this show is what I'm trying to say here. Especially when I first was on, when we talked about, you know, how long Houston were thinking about taking for this. Yeah, I think they're going to run out of time and be forced to do exactly that and take him.
you
You,
know
you can go back and forth, yes, with experience, or you go with a big name, but I think they're just going to run out of time and have to choose him.
one of the things that maybe just puzzles my mind. And then again, I mean, nobody knows, nobody knows. But for me, I just have that hunch that they already have their ideal candidate. It's just a matter of like waiting. waiting to see past the new year. That's that's kind of like my target date when they'll announce the new coach.
Maybe.
That's just my hunch. My hunch. And in fact, you know how we have the prediction and bold predictions.
Okay.
Let's let's close it like this to show, if you don't mind, Edson.
Go ahead.
Your regular prediction and bold prediction as to as who the new head coach could be for the Toros. Love to do that
All right.
just
So,
to close the show.
all right. My regular prediction, I think it's going to be just like you mentioned. I do think it's going to be a college coach. Most, I mean, they did that with Jerson Echeverry. Now, I don't know if there's another college coach that has worked with Tab Ramos, like, for example, Jerson did with Wilmer Cabrera. That was one of the reasons why they brought Jerson Echeverry in back when. But I think if we're going to base it on who Tab has worked for, it'll probably be somebody that has worked with. So, but that is going to take more money to lure them away from the national team, which makes more sense that they're going to try and bring in somebody from the college level rather than somebody from the U.S. youth national team level. However, like I did mention, there's always the possibility of one of those two assistant coaches. Nothing has been said about that. I lean more about a college coach. Now, we do know that Paul Lees was actually released or was not renewed from UTRGV men's soccer team just recently, and he still has not been announced for another position. That could be a something that can happen. I mean, he does have experience, with Cello, with Kyle Edwards, and as well with the local talent and other talents that he has worked with UTRGV. That could be a possibility, I think. But I don't know. I Paulise would more than likely would probably be more with staying at the college level, but you never know. If they do offer it to him, he might take it. But I don't know if they're even looking in his direction. So, but I do stay with college level coach. Bold prediction. I'm gonna go all out on this. Somehow the Houston Dynamo surprises us and they sign Ian Russell. That's my bold prediction. As to the timing, I do agree with Ray. Will probably be after New Year.
Yeah.
Who wants to go next?
Agree with that. I'll go next real quick, and I'm gonna say, really, for my regular prediction, I think they go with the assistant coach because they've run out of time. That's just me, and that's what I'm thinking. And it's fair to think that because, well, Houston Dynamo are like, I'm going to bring up this random little just example for fun. They're like this girlfriend who is never, ever spontaneous. They don't do anything nice. They think that you have to do everything for them. So when you decide to get lazy, and point being, nothing is romantic about this relationship. So yeah, that's why I expect them to run out of time, and that happens. For my bold prediction, I say they go with a former player. Yes, a former player from Houston Dynamo. Who this former player is? Yes, it's a man, the myth, the legend.
Brian Ching?
From Hawaii, Brian Ching.
Oh man, you're telling me he is going. I mean, you do have to remember the guy's is an entrepreneur now with Pitch 25, and I think, what is it, a coffee shop that he's about to open as well. So that is a really bold prediction right there.
Very bold prediction, and that's why they call him bold.
Hey, with the right amount of money, I guess. Ray.
All right. Hearing that college coach might be the most economical way.
Am I right or am I wrong? You that knows more about it.
You know, you've touched everything spot on, but I would probably think that I the consensus favorite is college coach, only because they're cheap to buy out.
Okay.
So that's going to be standard prediction. And here's another added standard prediction. I think it happens like in the month of January second week, give or take. Now, bold prediction. You ready for this?
Should should I wear a seatbelt for this?
Not really.
Oh, wow.
Pablo
Okay.
Mastroeni.
That
That's my that's my bold prediction, and it's going to be a last second hire, and go with Pablo Mastroeni.
hmm.
Because think of it this way:
Okay.
who who was the first Toros head coach? Wilmer Cabrera.
Wilmer
Well,
Cabrera, yes.
he had MLS experience as a head coach and as an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
So
To be
there's that.
fair, I mean, to be fair, they were just probably grooming him to be he who must not be named replacement.
But to be really fair, uh, Junior Gonzalez was also has also been under that MLS tutelage doing the Los Dos thing as well.
Okay.
So that's why I kind of think they're gonna go with Mastroeni, and they're gonna do it at the very last, at the most last second thing possible, with him already working with some of these players. That's just my hunch.
Hmm. Honestly, didn't think about it like that. Never crossed my mind that they might be doing it
Yep.
to groom him for MLS.
Well, regardless, grooming him or not, I just feel like that's gonna be like part of the plan. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, that's just my bold prediction,
Mhm.
and that they're gonna wait at the at the most last second to hire him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, it was a pretty good show today. I know I totally forgot about the U.S. men's national team game, which probably affected tonight's show. But if you guys missed any part of the show, you can always rewatch the archive on YouTube. I'm not. I think for Twitch, it's available for 7 days, and
Unless you highlight it or save it.
correct. But but the fallback, YouTube and Facebook Live, those should be available always. So if you guys missed any part of it, be sure to check it out. I'm not sure if this will be going into podcast episodes. I really do want to prepare for the 2021 season. Honestly, I was not expecting going live, but with the fact that how big of news the Matt Jordan thing was, I think it actually deserved having some sort of discussion between us. So guys, whoever was watching, Harry, Michael, thank you for participating in the chat. We hope to continue growing for the 2021 season. This will be consistent. I don't know if I do want to continue doing the shows on Twitch. I don't know if it's worth it. I just wanted to test it out. But I know for sure YouTube and Facebook Live will be continuing from this point forward. So be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/down in the RGV, youtube.com/down in the valley, and follow us on all our social media. I said Facebook, Twitter at down in the RGV, Instagram at down in the RGV. Be sure to also check out our website at ditvpodcast.com. Be sure to also check out all of our sponsors. Thank you to all of our sponsors: Natural Beauty Spa, Beautiful Game Network, Icarus FC, Roughneck Scarves. Thank you all for your support on this and other USL podcasts. Really, really appreciate it. Ray, where can they find you?
They can find me at South Texas Border Sports on Facebook, also on YouTube and Instagram, and at, at SOTX Athletics with an IX ending on Twitter.
Jacob, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter, Jacob Young 456, and on Twitch if you want to see some FIFA content. The Overreacted Gamer, that is my username. It's a very fun one. Made it to League One with my team. Follow me for, that year.
And can't wait for Cesar to grab his to get his racing gear. I really do want to use my stuff, and we all three do something with racing.
Will be fun. That will be very fun indeed.
But guys, you can always find me at my personal account at eochoa_8. There are some things that I am planning to do for the 2021 season. Once all of that has been confirmed, I will be letting you all know through my personal Twitter account at eochoa_8. You can also find me on Instagram at eochoa_DITV8. Apparently I can't English today, or any other show for that matter. But guys, thank you so much. Be safe out there. Wear a mask. Drink plenty of water. And if I don't see you all again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate, that's fine. We're all, I mean, there's love for everybody. Just enjoy the holidays. Of course, Happy New Year as well.
Happy Easter if we don't see you all the way till then as well. Happy Passover.
The list goes on and on and on. But no, I hope that we can at least have some news come the beginning of next year, and we can have one more show, and then we can start preparing for the actual 2021 season. Hopefully we have some good news. But as things have been coming up in regards to the Dynamo, it might be one long year, and then we'll have to make a decision whether we go independent, or we find another, or we continue with the Dynamo, or we find another partner. We don't know at this moment. But hey, it'd be interesting if somehow Austin FC comes in and swoops the Toros away from the Houston Dynamo, considering they already have an academy down in the Rio Grande Valley. I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. I mean, the same goes for Houston, technically. The Houston Dynamo, there is an academy down here, or at least used to be.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
But like Michael said, vamos toros. We'll see you guys in another episode of Down in the Valley. Take care.